All right, hey guys, it's Simon Lewis. I often get asked to share my story because people come into the Carnivore Challenge and they see me helping everybody, but they really don't know who I am. Generally, they've come in because they're a fan of Dr. Chaffee, they've heard about carnivore, they want to get healthy, and then I'm helping them, but they don't know me. So after numerous people asking, saying, Simon, share your story, I'm now doing it. So my story with carnivore and with nutrition started many years ago when I was about 11 years old, and I was, like many kids, diagnosed with ADHD. I was told, my teacher called up my parents and said, he's restless, he can't concentrate, he's, attention seeking or being difficult, his mood is up and down. We think he's got ADHD. And so my parents said, oh, geez, I'm not sure if he does, but, maybe we should take your word for it. And the teacher said, fortunately, before you go and get him on medication like Ritalin or other drugs, why don't you try a dietary intervention first, because he might have some allergies. And so fortunately my parents said, okay, let's get him tested for allergies. And I went and got my allergies tested, and it turns out I was intolerant to gluten and dairy. So at the age of 11, I was put on a gluten-free and dairy-free diet for about 6 months. Prior to that, I was eating Wheat Bix for breakfast, so cereals. My favorite food was pasta. So really I was just eating as many grains as I could get my hands on, and it never occurred to me that maybe that wasn't making me feel so good. So what I found as an 11-year-old on a gluten and dairy-free diet is that I felt so much better. My mood was much more consistent. I could concentrate for longer. There wasn't the ups and downs, there wasn't the crashing at the end of the day. And what mattered most for me at that age was my sporting ability improved. I felt fitter, I felt stronger, I could concentrate more, and my AFL and my running both improved. Fantastic, that's exactly what I wanted. So after this 6-month period, I then sort of slowly transitioned into just eating a normal diet like a kid again. But if I was ever feeling a little bit unwell, I would avoid things like gluten and dairy because I knew those things really upset me. And then when I moved into my sort of late teens, early 20s, the dietary stuff very much went out the window, and it was drinking, eating whatever you want, always eating as much meat as I could get my hands on, but also eating a lot of other crap. Some fast food, alcohol, soft drinks, etc. just came back in. And then when I left university and I started moving into a full-time job, I wanted to have more energy. I was feeling like crap, and I wanted to maintain my body composition, but I was sitting at a desk all the time. So I started eating a more paleo diet. So eating whole foods made perfect sense. So I would eat a lot of vegetables and also meat. But what I started to notice was that I would be bloated after a lot of meals. I found that I was tired all the time, and particularly, in the evenings, I would just really crash. And if I wanted to come home and keep working, or if I wanted to train or do something like that, it was really hard to get myself up and about to go and do that. I also found that I had a lot of inflammation in my body, sore back, sore knees, and it was harder to stay trim. I felt like I was training all the time. So I definitely, training all the time, trying to not put on body fat. So I definitely wanted a solution. I still ate meat whenever I could, eggs, but not in great quantities. The average person doesn't eat that much, really. You have 1 or 2 eggs and you think, oh, that's enough. So things really changed for me when I watched a Joe Rogan episode with Shawn Baker. So for a lot of people, this is what launched them into carnivore and got them thinking there might be another way to eat. There might be a way that I can be so much healthier. So Shawn Baker went on Joe Rogan for the first time in 2017. I probably watched the episode in 2019, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching this tall, fit, strong guy in his 50s talk about only eating meat and no plants. And for me, that really cut home. And I thought to myself, geez, I would love to eat like that. Sean's explaining how healthy his gut is, that his body composition has improved, it's easy to stay trim. And, I'm looking at Sean and thinking, geez, you're kind of, you're bigger and stronger than I am, but you're kind of a similar build to what I am. I don't want to be fat when I'm in my 50s and 60s either. This really resonated. And he is an elite athlete who's breaking world records on the rowing machine, which is, it's not about skill being on the rowing machine, it's purely about physical output. So the fact that he's improving on a carnivore diet, I thought was excellent evidence that there's something in this. So that sort of triggered something in me, and I thought, wow, I'd really like to try that. So I suppose I just started eating more meat from then, but I wasn't doing carnivore. Then I started consuming more and more carnivore content and learning about how it's helping thousands of people. So, Dr. Berry was a big one. I'd watch his YouTube channel all the time. Kelly Hogan, followed her on social media, watched her story and just thought she was an incredible lady. Paul Mason, who's a Sydney-based doctor, gives these incredible talks on Low Carb Down Under YouTube channel, which are very technical but very inspirational. And I knew that Paul had worked with professional sporting teams. So for me, I thought, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. I really want to learn from this guy. At the same time, I was following and learning from a man called Keegan Smith, who is a strength and conditioning coach. And at the time, he was working with Sonny Bill Williams and Quade Cooper, who were two international rugby union stars. And I sort of had a little bit to do with Keegan. I was lucky enough to chat with him, and he explained that, these guys are doing carnivore. Sonny Bill Williams and Quade Cooper, they're elite athletes, but their career is kind of tapering out in their early 30s. They want to revitalize it, so they're just sticking to eating meat. They're not eating any plants. They're just eating fatty meat. All of these things sort of compounded into me thinking, God, I really, really need to try this. So I first tried carnivore. It must have been sometime around 2020. Maybe slightly early, maybe end of 2019, and I went all in for 30 days and I felt fantastic. Instantly my body composition improved. I felt like I was more muscular and I looked more muscular, and also I entered ketosis for the first time and my concentration was unreal. I could get home from work and just keep on working. There was no crashing, there was no bloating, I was never hungry. It all just made perfect sense to me. So I then started How To Carnivore. I thought, all right, there's got to be other guys, because that was my target market out there, who want to tap into these benefits and learn how to do the carnivore diet. I'm learning about it. Why don't I teach other people? So I started How To Carnivore and started posting information about how to do the carnivore diet, tips, etc., and then offered to coach people in a small program. It was pretty intimate. It was mainly friends and friends of friends who were participating, but I instantly really enjoyed helping people and also learning from others, because I'd bring in experts along the way and then we would both listen and learn from these people, and I would test things on myself. Around this time, I must have been following Dr. Chaffee on Instagram, but I didn't actually know who he was and I hadn't seen any of his content. All I knew was that he was a carnivore doctor and that he was from America. He posted on Instagram saying, hey, I'm in Sydney, which is where I live, and I'm stuck here for 2 weeks because of quarantine. This was in the end of 2021, so around all the COVID lockdown stuff. Can't go back to Perth for a couple of weeks. I'm in Sydney. What should I do? And so I just responded, do a podcast with me, not really knowing anything about Dr. Chaffee. And he replied, okay, sounds good. So I ended up messaging him and saying, hey, let's catch up for a coffee first before we, start making a podcast together so that we can learn a bit about each other. Well, not making doing literally one episode. That was the plan. And Dr. Chaffee said, okay, cool, come and meet me. So we met up down in Bondi, went for a coffee. I had a coffee. I was drinking coffee at the time. Dr. Chaffee didn't, of course. And we started chatting and I was blown away. I really didn't know anything about him. And as anyone who has met Dr. Chaffee knows, he's a very impressive guy. Big, fit, strong-looking guy, and an absolute font of knowledge. So we talked about carnivore a little bit at the start, but then we started talking about history, philosophy, economics, and more. And his knowledge really just blew me away. And I thought, wow, I've never met somebody like this, who is so well read, well spoken, and has thought about his opinions so clearly, and can really back them up with factual, hard data. And so I instantly thought, okay, this is somebody who needs to have a microphone in front of them and needs to talk and tell their story. So from there, Dr. Chaffee and I started making podcasts together, and this is actually how Dr. Chaffee got started with his online content, with his YouTube channel and his podcast. He had just gotten back from competing in a vegans versus carnivore debate, so he had all this information about why a carnivore diet is ideal and why a vegan diet and eating plants is not. And so it was a good opportunity for me to simply ask Dr. Chaffee questions, and then he would just go for it. And as you can see, if you watch those early videos, or if you watch any of Dr. Chaffee's videos, the content and the information that he puts out is just so value packed. It is really incredible. So, I consider myself really lucky to have met Dr. Chaffee and to have been able to ask him these questions and then help spread the message that he is now spreading to hundreds of thousands of people. So from there, How To Carnivore evolved. I realized, okay, I should bring Dr. Chaffee into this if he's up for it, because together we could coach so many people. I'm learning from him. I can do the more back-end administration business side of things, and Dr. Chaffee can coach hopefully hundreds, if not thousands of people and help them get healthy through this program of How To Carnivore. So we teamed up. Teaming up with Dr. Chaffee, I quickly realized that the clientele that he was attracting, the people who were interested in learning and getting help from him, have really serious health conditions. Previously I had been speaking to guys just like myself who were tired, a bit overweight, achy, sore, and wanted to get healthy. The clientele that Dr. Chaffee attracts are people with it's people from all walks of life, but a lot of them have really serious health conditions, which he is qualified and very knowledgeable and able to help. So How To Carnivore has evolved into a program that really helps people with hormonal and autoimmune issues, which then sort of extend to all sorts of parts of their life. And they might have gut issues, arthritis, mental health problems, but at the end, all these things are stemming from poor nutrition. I quickly discovered that what is causing these issues is, first of all, malnutrition, because people are eating lots of crap, but it's so nutrient poor that they're not getting the nutrients they need. And then on the flip side, they're eating so much crap that they're getting all this toxic overload from eating plants, and that's making them sick as well. So together, Dr. Chaffee and I, we teamed up, and we're trying to get people to nourish themselves and remove this toxic overload. The amazing thing is, it's a natural treatment where people just need to eat real food. There is zero downside, and it really works. So I just know that working with Dr. Chaffee together, we've come up with this incredible solution to help people who have these major health conditions. And now I'm on a mission to make sure that we can reach as many people and let them know how we can help, and then make sure that we deliver and we really help them overcome these incredibly, painful and debilitating modern illnesses that should not exist. So coupled with How To Carnivore, I also have teamed up with Dr. Max Goulhane, who many of you will know, and there's content in school from Dr. Max. Dr. Max is a carnivore, but he's also really interested in circadian health and eradicating visceral fat, which is one of the biggest markers or problems or causes of all these issues. Anybody with visceral fat around their organs, it leads to a raft of issues and really impacts your quality of life. So teaming up with Dr. Max, we've created these events called Regenerate. So they will happen all over Australia, and we get incredible speakers like Dr. Chaffee, like Dr. Pran Yoganathan, regenerative farmers like Jake Wolke and Charlie Arnott, carnivore psychotherapists like Natalie West, circadian experts like Dr. Jalal Khan. And we want to bring together like-minded people to have really important conversations and be exposed to these incredible minds and these incredible experts while having a great time and feasting on regenerative meat. So that's the whole point of Regenerate. And so now with How To Carnivore and with Regenerate, I feel like I have a mission and a real purpose. And I would just like to thank you for participating in this Carnivore Challenge. We really appreciate it, and we really hope that we're going to make a difference to your life. So thank you very much for listening to my story, and thank you to those who pressured me to make this video. Onwards and upwards, stay carnivore, let's get healthy.